Hi, everyone. Just wanted to go over our weekly summary from week two. I do apologize. I am short on voice. Seems to come and go, so hopefully it'll reappear here partially through. And I do apologize for my lack of presence over the past week or so. I've been very ill since last Tuesday, actually Monday night. So hopefully those of you I saw last Monday night, hopefully I didn't infect you. I didn't realize I was sick on Monday. so so. But Tuesday was when it really hit me. So, for those of you I saw last Monday night at the networking event, if you got sick, I apologize, and so I've been pretty ill since Tuesday. Don't really know what it is. Still dealing with it, but um, on the upward swing now. At least I can sit upright and function a little bit now. So we're making some progress. But I did want to. I did want to go over some of the info from last week. So last week we were really focused on data. That was kind of our focus for last week. Really kind of giving you a picture of epidemiological data and showing the importance of that in the healthcare setting. And I think a lot of times that is lost on many healthcare leaders. It's not, oh, that's public health data, we don't need to worry about that. But it really can be helpful and important to us, especially now as we're making this transition into a, into a world um, where we are really trying to um, focus on population health and making treating patients to make them more well and not just make people not sick, if that makes sense. So it really is, looking at our population, looking at that epidemiological data, and as we progress through this class, looking at community health assessments, seeing how we can use that data and move forward. So hopefully you found it helpful to examine some of that data, and hopefully you'll find it helpful to continue to look at that data as a healthcare leader moving forward into your career. So one thing I did want to talk about a little bit was the case study that we examined in our Flipgrid. And I do apologize, I didn't get to post in the Flipgrid quite as much as I wanted, just because in most cases, although I did post a little bit, and you got to see me probably at some of my worst of what I would actually appear in person, and that was it was pretty bad. But most of the time I was not fit for public consumption, nor was I then, but I did want to get a few posts up. Um, but I did want to discuss a little bit about some of the questions. So the first question, why might Hispanic infants, actually I'm going to flip over to the classroom here. So why might Hispanic infants have higher rates of pertussis and pertussis-related deaths compared to non-Hispanic infants? Um, and really, I mean, there's a lot of a lot of reasons why that might be the case, but a lot of the focus is on cultural cultural beliefs. So larger household size and general cultural practices. In a Hispanic household, it's very common for that larger household size. So not just to be mom, dad, kids, but extended family within the household, and everyone cares for one another. It's a very caring household. Everyone takes care of one another, and so in that case, it's very easy to spread germs to one another, as opposed to just being mom spreading germs or kids spreading germs back to mom when they're caring for one another or to dad. It's a wider spread type of illness. So in this case, that larger household size, cultural practices, and that in itself can lead to those types of situations. And as we get into question number 2, related to vaccinations, that with the cultural practices also can lead to issues with, you know, with problems. Parents haven't been vaccinated, children haven't been vaccinated. That's problematic as well. So, question number 2: identify 2 reasons why a parent might choose not to have a child vaccinated. So, possible reasons could be religious beliefs. Maybe religious beliefs overall, they feel that it's not appropriate. It could be things they've seen in the media. A lot of times, unfortunately, in today's world, parents are relying on, or people in general are relying on what they see in the media or what they see on the internet to tell them what's true. And all you need to do, especially parents of young children, you go to Facebook and you flip through and you'll see the anti-vaxxers telling you not to vaccinate and the pro-vaccination people telling you to vaccinate. And who do you believe? It's hard to believe if you're not health literate. It's hard to know what's accurate. So the media and the it's important that this is the answer to question number 4, really, but it's important that we provide, as a healthcare industry, we provide them with good information. But reasons why a parent might not choose that is because in the media, it could be social media, it could be television, media, radio, they're hearing all of this. Oh, don't get your children vaccinated. They could end up with autism. They could end up with all these other horrible things that come from the terrible formaldehyde in the vaccines and all of these things. So all of this plays into why people may not want to get their child vaccinated, outside of religious or cultural beliefs that may keep people away from wanting to have their child vaccinated. So question number 3, excuse me, discuss how the vaccine controversy in the U.S. can impact the distribution of vaccine-preventable illness. So I just kind of talked a little bit about the vaccine controversy. There's kind of this pro-vax side and these anti-vaxxers, and I have, although I'm far beyond the time period in my life where I have a child that's getting vaccines, I do have a lot of friends in that younger bracket that have children that are, in the time period where they are to get vaccines. And I do have friends that, are dealing with those issues and, should I get my children vaccinated? Is it going to harm them? One that comes up quite often is Gardasil, the HPV vaccine, because that has had some, there have been some negative side effects related to that particular vaccine. But do the positive impacts outweigh those? No matter what we have, there's going to be negative side effects. So, we need to weigh those and take a look at those. So looking at that controversy overall is an interesting one. But how can that controversy impact the distribution of vaccine-preventable illness? So, kind of relating it back to this pertussis case, I did find some information about pertussis, specifically in Japan. It was on the CDC website. It talked about in 1974, about 80% of children were getting the vaccine. Excuse me. And in that year, there were only 393 cases of whooping cough in the whole country and no pertussis-related deaths. Then, I think because it was seen that it was fairly well eradicated, the immunization rates began to drop. And then it reached a point where only about 10% of children were being vaccinated. So at 1979, the rates, so we're talking about, what was that, 5 years. So between 74 and 79, they went from an 80% vaccination rate to a 10% vaccination rate in 1979, and 13,000 people were getting whooping cough and 41 died. So they went from a time where 80% were getting vaccinated and they had what's known as herd immunity. So even though only 80% of the kids were getting vaccinated, the herd was vaccinated. So it was enough that it was protecting the majority, and it was immunizing the herd. When they got down to the point where it was only 10%, that was not enough to protect the majority, and a larger number was obviously getting whooping cough, and larger numbers were dying. So routine vaccination returned. They started that again, and the disease numbers dropped dramatically, as you would think they would. So it really can. Obviously, the vaccines work. So it just makes sense. It can impact that distribution of vaccine preventable illness by using these vaccines. It just makes good sense. But you don't necessarily have to vaccinate every single human. So if you have a patient that, due to a religious belief, is not appropriate for them to receive that vaccine, then that's okay. We need to vaccinate the herd. We need to vaccinate the majority. It's when we have people that are not receiving vaccines because of bad information that it's problematic. And so that kind of leads into the next question. Describe 2 ways to increase compliance with vaccines in this population or any similar population. And so a couple good ways are offering access to vaccination services. Possibly they don't have access. Maybe it's too expensive. Maybe they don't have insurance coverage. Maybe they don't have the money to pay for the vaccines. Maybe they can't get to where the vaccines are being offered. So that's one thing. But the second thing is education, making sure people realize how important it is to receive these vaccines, that the side effects that are noted are likely not accurate, the things that you hear about in the media or that you read about online, making sure that they have the good, solid scientific information behind these vaccines, and to know how important it is to receive them, and that they know that, if there are side effects, here's what the side effects are, possible side effects, etc. So important information, kind of a side note about vaccines, but interesting discussion nonetheless. But how that data can feed into population health overall. So just wanted to discuss that because I didn't get as much of a chance to get into the discussion overall this week. So also in our written assignment, I haven't dug into them yet, but looking forward to digging into that. Hopefully you took a look at a couple of different data sets, and kind of compared those data sets and how you how you thought you might looking at from that perspective of that healthcare leader, how you might be able to improve the data set, maybe be able to use that data set, what data elements you might like to see compiled, etc. So look forward to seeing those assignments this week, and I will be getting to those fairly shortly. So this coming week, in week 3, get this to move forward, we're actually going to talk a little bit about care coordination. So moving forward from just data itself in its raw form to how do we take that data and share it, not necessarily just raw data like we were talking about there, but important healthcare data. And we're going to talk about coordination of care. Now, this one document here, this Care Coordination Measures Atlas, it's a huge document. It's like 300 and some pages. I don't expect you to read that whole thing. It's really more for reference. But we will be using information from Chapter 2 down here in our discussion for this week. So I did give you the entire document here, but but so that is there for your perusal, and you can use that for your if you want to look at it further for learning more about care coordination. There's a lot of info in there. But care coordination is, and this video is really very interesting and is a perfect picture of what care coordination can be and should be, and how we can use data and share it between entities, and entities being even the home, parents gathering data and sharing that with providers. So really an interesting look at care coordination, and so I look forward to our Flipgrid this week, and also for this week we have a movie to watch. So it's you have to go to this website here, this Canopy, rmucanopy.com, this link here, and you're going to be watching this Unnatural Causes, Place Matters, which is an interesting it's a portion of a documentary. The documentary has many elements, but it's an interesting documentary about social determinants of care and population health outcomes, and I think it kind of feeds back into how we can use care coordination, and I think it's an interesting. It kind of feeds back into some of the things that we've been studying throughout the program, as well as into data overall. Place matters, and social determinants are definitely part of the place that we're in and whatnot. So, but you do have to use your RMU credentials to access this. It is not free of charge, but it is free of charge to us. So, so make sure that you enter your RMU credentials to access this video. If you have any issues accessing it, please let me know. And I think that's it. So look forward to seeing everyone in the discussions this week. And like I said, if you have any issues with the video, please just let me know. Okay, thanks.